Hey there YouTube, it's Jeff Perry with Must Be Nice Investments, and today we're going to continue our series on LLCs and your real estate business. Today we're going to be talking simply about the pros and cons of an LLC. Before we get started, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll get right into it. So what are the pros and cons of creating an LLC? So one, the main reason people create an LLC is to limit the personal liability, which could potentially save you a ton of money, especially if you're in a lawsuit, okay? So the LLC is there to protect you, you know, in case you get sued. It's basically just for that one property or just one piece of the business, etc. And the people that are suing you only have access to that one piece of the business or that one, you know, one property. So another pro of this is they can separate and protect each of your rental properties from each other. So if you set the LLC up right, you can have one LLC with multiple rental properties in it, or you can have an LLC for each rental property. Number three, you get the benefit of a pass-through taxation. So your income is not taxed more than one time. It's only taxed one time. And hopefully if you're doing things right, and again, I'm not a tax expert or legal expert, so confirm or consult with your attorney or your accountant, but if you do it right, you're depreciating your asset about the same much as your cash flow on most single family properties, so you're really not paying tax on anything, hopefully. And then number four, you can easily separate business expenses from your personal expenses by having a separate account linked to your LLC. And this is something you can do. I actually set up an account, a checking account, a business checking account, and a business savings account for every one of my properties. So I've got a ton of accounts, a ton of cards, etc. But I use a savings account for deposits. That way it's easy for my accountant to understand what's a deposit, what I owe to renter as far as deposit, etc. And then I have one just for expenses. Here's the money coming in, here's the money going out. It's real easy when I hand over my bank statements at the end of the year. So you don't technically need an LLC to do that. So let's talk about the cons of owning an LLC real quick. The cons is there's quite a bit of paperwork involved to get set up. And then there's additional paperwork every year that you're gonna have to deal with at a state level with your state's comptroller. So that is a little bit of a headache. Number two, it's potentially more difficult to qualify for a mortgage, if at all, because a lot of mortgage brokers aren't even going to allow you to get a mortgage under an LLC, and you better check with them. We'll talk about this in another video, but we'll talk about how to transfer a property you already own with a mortgage on it into an LLC, and if you can even do that. And then con number three, LLCs typically in many states, there may be some exceptions on where you live, have annual filing fees that can be expensive, sometimes up to $500, $600, $700 a year. In Texas, thank God we live in Texas. If you do, no problems there. But those are the three cons. Again, the main reason people are getting an LLC is for personal liability. In a subsequent video, I'm going to talk about the difference between just getting an umbrella insurance policy versus an LLC, and what the differences in costs will be for you. For a lot of people, at least old school people, before they had these cool umbrella policies, an LLC was worth it just from a liability standpoint. But again, there are some cons associated with it, and of course there's several pros. So if you liked the video, please hit like. If you love the channel, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.